geopolitics and trade deals, economic challenges amid development, hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium, we'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching the India News Hour with me, Munman Bhattacharya. On to some business news now. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will chair the 55th GST Council meeting in Rajasthan's Jaisalmer on Saturday. And earlier on Friday, the Finance Minister held pre-budget consultations in Jaisalmer with finance ministers of states and union territories ahead of FY26 union budget. Minister of State for Finance Pankaj Chaudhary, Chief Ministers of 5 states, and Deputy Chief Ministers of 6 states attended the meeting along with senior officials from the Finance Ministry. Europe's biggest car maker, Volkswagen, has reached a deal with the German workers' union IG Metall that will avert immediate plant closures in Germany and also avoid immediate compulsory redundancies. The two sides have, however, agreed to cut more than 35,000 jobs across the country in a socially responsible manner by 2030. Germany's largest car maker had previously warned it might have to shutter plants in the country for the first time in a bid to cut costs. After drawn out negotiations, which began in September, the union said on Friday that the two had succeeded in finding a solution that secures jobs and enables future investment. Under the agreement, a 5% wage increase that was previously agreed will also be suspended in 2025 and 2026. Volkswagen, along with other German car makers, has been badly affected by a decline in demand for its cars in China, previously a lucrative market. Switzerland and the European Union on Friday unveiled a deal to carry out the biggest overhaul of their trade ties in years, overcoming Swiss concerns about immigration and setting the scene for a fraught and lengthy approval process. Covering everything from electricity to state aid, transport and freedom of movement, plus Bern's financial contribution to the bloc, the accord drew the EU and its fourth biggest export market closer and gave added certainty to Swiss companies that rely heavily on the 27 nation alliance for business. Though it faces big tests before ratification, the deal is a step forward from the last bid, which failed in 2021 when Bern abruptly pulled out. It also delivers a boost to the EU as it tries to move past Britain's 2016 vote to exit the bloc. In a speech to the members of the Cordoba Stock Exchange on Friday, Argentina's President Javier Milei said that the nation is progressing towards a free trade agreement with the United States.
Básicamente lo que tengo para Basically, I have to tell you that we will indeed move forward with a free trade agreement with the United States. Just yesterday and today, it was reaffirmed by the spokesperson of the President elect of the United States, Donald Trump, that we will work to achieve a free trade agreement with the United States. Donald Trump.
You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for all the sports action. The Indian women's cricket team and West Indies women's cricket team arrived in Vadodara in Gujarat ahead of their first ODI on Sunday. The three-match series is part of the ICC Women's Championship and will be played at the Kotambi Stadium in Gujarat. The Indian team head into the ODI series high on confidence after registering a 2-1 series win over West Indies in the recently concluded three-match T20 International Series. On the other hand, the West Indies will aim to bounce back in the ODI series, which will carry crucial points for the ongoing ICC Women's Championship. In women's cricket, India is set to clash with Bangladesh in the final of the inaugural U19 Women's Asia Cup on Sunday. The women in blue, led by Nikki Prasad, defeated Sri Lanka by 4 wickets in the Super 4 match. India chased down the target in just 14.5 overs. Batting first, Sri Lanka scored 98 runs for the loss of 9 wickets in the 20 overs. India's Ayushi took 4 wickets while Parunika bagged 2. Meanwhile, Bangladesh's women beat Nepal by 9 wickets in the other Super 4 match. Intricate South Africa's troubles deepened ahead of the third ODI against Pakistan as fast bowler Otniel Bartman is ruled out due to a knee injury. Bartman has joined spinner Keshav Maharaj on the sidelines, making him the second player to miss action in the ongoing series. Overall, Bartman has become South Africa's sixth seamer to get ruled out this season. All-rounder Corbin Bosch has been added to the ODI squad as Bartman's replacement for the final match of the series on Sunday. In soccer, Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola has revealed defender Ruben Dias will be out for 3 or 4 weeks due to a muscle injury sustained in their 2-1 defeat to Manchester United. The 27-year-old will miss City's entire festive fixture schedule and the FA Cup third round tie against Salford on the 11th of January. City would hope Diaz is available for the crucial Champions League clash with Paris Saint-Germain on 22nd January. Currently sitting fifth in the league table, City have managed to win just one game in their last 11 matches across all competitions. Russian skaters have been allowed to compete as neutrals for the ice skating competition at the 2026 Winter Olympics. ISU announced a pathway to allow a limited number of individual neutral athletes to participate under strict conditions in designated Olympic qualifying events for the 2025-26 season. The decision applies to figure skating and speed skating disciplines. Just 15 Russian athletes were permitted to take part in the Paris Olympics this summer, competing as neutrals. As the cold air seeps in and the holiday hymns turn into Christmas carols and cheers, it's time for the shortest day to commence, known as the winter solstice, a celestial event when the northern hemisphere is tilted the farthest from the sun with an axial tilt of about 23.5 degrees in the most indirect angle, creating shorter daylight hours and colder weather. Here's what you need to know about winter solstice 2024.
21st December is the shortest day of the year. Not just that, it is also the longest night of the year. And this day represents a winter solstice. But did you know what is the winter solstice? Let's find out more about this day in this video. In simple words, the winter solstice marks the beginning of winter in the northern hemisphere. The winter solstice is the celestial event when the northern hemisphere is tilted the farthest from the sun with an axial tilt of about 23.5 degrees. Due to this tilt, the sun's rays strike the northern hemisphere at the most indirect angle, creating shorter daylight hours and colder weather. While the solstice can sometimes occur between December 20 to 23, December 21 is the most common date. This day has a lot of significance in ancient traditions. Traditional winter festivals like Yule and Hanukkah trace their roots to the winter solstice. So even if December 21 feels dark, don't worry because it's the starting of brighter days ahead.
Scuba diving Santa Claus was spotted in the Florida Keys, a national marine sanctuary, enjoying some relaxation with an elfish helper before the upcoming holidays. During his subsea excursion, Santa encountered schools of fish and other marine life that seemed quite comfortable with a merry crew throughout the dive. that's it then in this edition of DD India News Hour. But do share your thoughts with us. And before that, here's a quick reminder that India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati has recently launched Waves, entering the field of OTT platforms. Waves provides a complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audiences. If you also want great content for free, then download Waves today. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. This is Munmun Bhattacharya from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.
In light of recent developments, can we expect something different with regard to China-India relations? And is there hope for some kind of stability between these two giants of Asia?
I think we should be prepared that China will always seek in this period ahead to contain India. It seeks to contain India in South Asia, for instance. It seeks to contain India when we speak of expansion of the permanent membership of the Security Council. It has never been a supporter. It has sought to contain India on various fronts. So it obviously sees India as a rival.
Pollution of all types across the globe is a huge problem. But what is the solution to this? Does it require individual efforts, community action, or state interference? Let's take a look at some of the possibilities, challenges, and opportunities.
They have to segregate their waste, manage their organic waste within their premises as far as possible. They have to hand over the rest of the waste, the residual waste, to the authorized waste collector.
When the local administration saw what I had done, it decided to build the drainage system you see here, connecting the whole area to it.
Trees are our lifesavers. They give us oxygen, and it's unfair to harm them by hammering iron nails into them just for the sake of air.
Kolkata, the city of joy, the capital of the eastern state of West Bengal in India, has long been one of the leading metro cities and cultural centers of the nation. Home to over 14 million people, the city is known for its celebration of Bengali traditions and cultural diversity. The city was once a center of colonial power. The Grand Victoria Memorial is reminiscent of that colonial past. Kolkata distinguished itself with a leading role in India's freedom movement. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, one of the tallest leaders of the freedom struggle, grew up in the historic city. Art and literature holds a special place in Kolkata's cultural landscape. The city has produced some of India's finest writers, poets, and playwrights. Rabindranath Tagore, the first non-European Nobel laureate in literature, hails from the city. Popularly known as the Jorashakho Thakurbari, Tagore's ancestral house is now a museum dedicated to his life and works. The city's engagement with intellectual pursuits is reflected today in the ever-bustling College Street, dotted with numerous bookshops and proximity to premier educational institutions. In a rapidly changing world, the city still hangs on to its gentle pace of life. The traditional yellow taxis and slow-moving tram service give a distinct character to the city. The humble Rasgulla and the heavenly Sandesh have carried the sweetness of Bengali culture to the farthest corners of the nation and the world. Kolkata is an important hub of trade and commerce. The iconic Havra Bridge is the most recognizable symbol of Kolkata and Bengal and an important lifeline for the people in the city. Located right under the southeast end of Havra Bridge, is a 130-year-old flower market. It is one of the biggest in Asia. The city comes alive every year with great vigor around Durga Puja, the most popular festival of Bengal. Beautiful idols of the beloved goddess are worshipped in creative pandals across the city. In 2021, Durga Puja was included in the list of UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity. This is Kolkata. Discover the world with DD India.
Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Unman Bhattacharya. Coming up in the next hour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi plans for Kuwait on a two-day visit, the first visit by an Indian PM to Kuwait in 43 years. Voting underway in the US Senate on funding bill after House passes Biden's crucial spending bill to avert government shutdown. US drops $10 million reward on Syria's new leader Ahmad al-Shara in Damascus talks rebel promise fighting terrorism. Amidst call to step down, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau shakes up his cabinet, replaces those unwilling to fight election. And the first World Meditation Day being observed under the theme Inner Peace, Global Harmony. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has planned for Kuwait. The visit is set to further boost historic ties between the two countries and strengthen cultural trade and people-to-people connect between India and Kuwait. During his visit, PM Modi will hold talks with the top Kuwaiti leadership, visit an Indian labor camp, address the Indian community and attend the opening ceremony of the Gulf Cup football tournament. Embarking on a two-day state visit to Kuwait, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his departure statement, said, and I quote, "We deeply value the historical connection with Kuwait that has been nurtured over generations. We are not just strong trade and energy partners, but also have shared interest in peace, security, stability, and prosperity in the West Asia region. Looking forward to my meetings with His Highness the Amir, the Crown Prince and the Prime Minister of Kuwait. It would be an opportunity to chalk out a roadmap for a futuristic partnership for the benefit of our people and the region. Eagerly look forward to meeting the Indian diaspora in Kuwait who have immensely contributed to strengthening bonds of friendship between the two nations. I express my gratitude to the leadership of Kuwait for the special gesture of inviting me to the inauguration ceremony of the Arabian Gulf Cup, a premier sporting event in the Gulf region. I look forward to being a part of the celebration of athletic excellence and regional unity. I'm confident that this visit will further strengthen and reinforce the special ties and bonds of friendship between the people of India and Kuwait. Prime Minister Modi's two-day historic Kuwait visit comes at the invitation of the Amir of Kuwait, and it is going to be the first one by an Indian Prime Minister in over 40 years and is set to boost ties between the two nations.
मोदी 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 है तो मुमकिन है. Excitement brewing among the Indian diaspora in Kuwait ahead of the historic two-day visit by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Indian diaspora, which forms the largest expat community in Kuwait, is over 1 million strong, forming a living bridge between India and Kuwait. The members of the Indian diaspora claim the visit by Prime Minister Modi will strengthen the community and boost relations between the two nations.
The excitement is so much that my phone doesn't stop ringing. Everybody wants to come to the stadium to see him. Everybody is looking forward to it. Everyone wants to see him. He is a charisma of it. He has a charisma that I think I've not seen in anybody.
We have some great plans for welcoming him in our own way, and the whole community is working together, united. You've seen all our colleagues here. We worked very hard for the last few days to make sure the welcome is equal and if not better than many more welcomes in the Gulf.
India and Kuwait share a historic and dynamic relationship that spans decades, rooted in shared history, robust trade, vibrant cultural connections, and mutual support during challenging times. In recent years, under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, the trade between the two nations has reached new heights. Kuwait is among India's top trading partners. Bilateral trade is valued at 10.47 billion US dollars for financial year 2023-24. Indian exports to Kuwait have reached 2 billion US dollars for the first time. Investments by Kuwait in India exceed 10 billion US dollars. Kuwait is India's sixth largest crude oil supplier and fourth largest LPG supplier.
I would say that the visit is coming after a gap of almost 4 decades. It is also the first high-level visit between both sides in 1 decade. It is also the first visit of Prime Minister Modi to Kuwait, and this is the only country which he has not visited in the Gulf region. So it carries a lot of symbolism.
The visit by Prime Minister Modi will involve several high-level engagements, with the Prime Minister engaging with the Indian diaspora as well, strengthening the historical ties between the two nations.
The wait of over 4 decades for the Indian community to welcome their Prime Minister is soon coming to an end, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi all set to arrive in Kuwait. This historic visit by Prime Minister is not only going to cement the relationships between the two countries, but also take it to new, unprecedented levels. In Kuwait City, with camera person Rajesh Ricky and PK, Akshay Dongre, DD India.
So, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has departed for a 2-day visit to Kuwait. This is the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister in 43 years, and this visit is expected to boost bilateral ties across a gamut of sectors between the two countries. DD India's Akshay Dongre is joining us now from Kuwait City. Akshay, is the stage set for Prime Minister's arrival in Kuwait, and what will be his engagements over 2 days?
Well, absolutely. The stage has been set. In fact, it has been set for the past few days now, with the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's arrival being celebrated across the country. It's not just the Indian diaspora, but also the Kuwaiti nationals who are also waiting in anticipation for the Prime Minister of the world's largest democracy to come here. The Indian and Kuwaiti connect is not a few decades old; it is centuries old. The cultural connect has been there for several years, with not just the oil trade being in focus, and oil trade being in the center of the relation between the two countries. But even before the discovery of oil, the two countries used to have strong trade relations, with Kuwait exporting Arabian horses, pearls, dates to India, and importing things like spices, textile, timber, things that were not available here. So the relationship has been strong, but there was a gap of about 40 years where a no Indian Prime Minister arrived in the country, and this is going to take place after 43 years that an Indian Prime Minister will be coming here. So it is in fact a movement of pride for the Indian diaspora here. They say that Prime Minister had visited all Gulf countries. It was just Kuwait that was left, and that is that vacuum that was left by no Indian Prime Minister visiting the country for the past 40 years. That will be fulfilled today. So there is about 1 million strong expatriate community here in Kuwait. In fact, Indians form the largest expat community in the country. They contribute to every sector. And that is perhaps the reason why the relation between the two countries remains strong, and has remained strong over the past several decades. Now, Prime Minister today will be coming. His first engagement is going to meet workers from India. He's going to a labor camp in the country. After that, he will be having a community event with the diaspora. He will be having high-level engagements tomorrow with his meetings with the Crown Prince, the Emir of the country, and also signing off the memorandum of understanding over various fields where Kuwait and India want to expand their cooperation in. So it is going to be quite hectic activities for the Prime Minister as well when he comes here, because there will be activity after activity that are lined up for the Indian Prime Minister, for Narendra Modi, once he lands here in Kuwait.
Actually, you told us that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be visiting Indian workers at an Indian labor camp there. If you could put into context for us the significance of such an interaction.
Well, it's quite a significant. This is a quite a big symbolism by the Prime Minister as well. As we were mentioning there is about 1 million strong Indian expat community that works here in Kuwait. So those are the people. They're still Indian citizens. They're working here, and many of them have been working here for the past several decades. In fact, there are people who were born here as well. There are people who are running their family businesses in Kuwait, and they felt this pinch that when it comes to the workers' rights, when it comes to the support or the help that the workers need, they may not have gotten it over the past several decades. But that is all changing. The Indian government has been actively trying to support the workers. There have been certain cases where the Indian workers who have been working here, on short-term basis, they have been cheated or defrauded by certain middlemen, and with Prime Minister Narendra Modi going and speaking to the laborers, to the workers that have come from different parts of the country. This is going to be a huge symbol, not only for these middlemen, that they have to be beware of any such tactics in the future, but also for the Kingdom of Kuwait, that the Indian Prime Minister's priorities remain with the workers that are working here in the country.
We were at that Akshay Dongre, reporting from Kuwait City. With the aim to further strengthen special ties between India and Mauritius, Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri is on a 3-day visit to an island nation, marking the first high level bilateral engagement between India and Mauritius after the formation of the new government led by Prime Minister Naveen.